Hello my dear friends, hope you all be fine and doing well. Thank you so much for joining in your channel. My dear friends, if you are interested in playing the London system opening, then I'm suggesting this video for you. And definitely through this video, you will understand lots of good things about London system opening. So my dear friends, this trap is completely amazing and I hope you use it in your games. So my dear friends, without wasting the time, let's get started the game. So as you know that London system is starting by pushing the pawn into d4. The response is pushing the pawn into d5. Now you are taking your bishop into f4. Your opponent is doing the f6. Now you are pushing the pawn into e3. When you are coming to this position, you are showing your opponent that I'm going to play the London system opening against you. So in this position onward, there are lots of different options and positions that your opponents can play against you. If you want to learn all the variations, so I already made 13 video in my channel playlist, so you can go and watch that. At the end of this video, I will add the link of 13 videos of my playlist. So therefore, if you are interested to the London system opening, so you can watch and increase your knowledge regarding of London system opening. So in this position, directly I'm going to show you that one of the variations, and that is too much popular and you will face and your opponent is playing, and that is pushing the pawn into c5. You just push the pawn into c3 and defend from your pawn, and here your opponent is activating his pieces and you also do the same thing. Now your opponent is pushing the pawn into e6. You just simply take your knight into f3. Your opponent is bringing his bishop into d6. So in this position, you just take your bishop into g3. So why you have to take it? There are lots of things, but in this video, you just keep in mind that when your opponent is offering you exchange of bishops, so you just take it back. And the reason I already made lots of videos, so you can go and watch all those videos for your better understanding. So in here, your opponent is not capturing your bishop, so it is not a good idea for him because you are simply capturing by your pawn and opening a file to your rook. In this way, it is not a good idea for your opponent, so the best move for your opponent is going to castle, and he is going to castle. Now you have this best move and activating your bishop into d3. From this position onward, the trap is going to be started. In this position, there are lots of options for you and for your opponent. Especially, my dear friends, when you are playing the London system opening as a white, you should keep in mind that you should have control in these squares, e4 and e5. You should have full control in these two squares. If your opponent took the control of these two squares, definitely it would not be a good game for you. So as much as power you have, you should keep the control of these two squares, as these two squares are very important in London system opening. After you took your bishop into d3, your opponent has different options. So for example, one of the moves, it might be taking the bishop and also pushing the pawn. So there are lots of options for your opponent already he has. But the best move in here for your opponent is taking his queen into e7. And this is the best move. Why? Because the main reason behind this move is pushing the pawn into e5. So you should not allow your opponent to do that. For example, if you make a mistake by going to castle, in this position, your opponent is pushing the pawn into e5. Now you don't have this option. For example, if you capture the pawn, so your opponent is capturing by his knight. Again, you are capturing. This position, black is slightly better because black has more space. And you should not go directly to castle, and you should keep in mind that you should not lose the control of the e4 and e5 squares. So my dear friends, coming back to the main line, so what you can do? So in this position, my dear friends, castling is not the best option. The best move is placing your knight into e5. In this position, you have the control of the e5, and also now your opponent does not have that option to push the pawn. And your opponent cannot capture your knight by his knight because you are simply capturing by your pawn and attacking to the two minor pieces. So therefore, you are capturing one of them. So in that way, your opponent is losing the piece. So my dear friends, in this position for black, capturing your knight by his knight or by his bishop is not a fair move. So as I showed you in a brief. So if you want to watch all the lines perfectly, so you can watch it in the playlist of my channel. So in here, the best move maybe your opponent is doing, and that is taking his knight into d7. And the reason behind this move is attacking by 2 force to your knight, and also he has bishop to protecting. Therefore, he is not allowing you to be in his territory. So in this position, my dear friends, now your trap is starting, and the best move is capturing your opponent's knight. So in this position, what do you think that what is the best move for black? Capturing the knight by his bishop or by his queen? Definitely, you would say that capturing the knight by bishop would be better, because your opponent by this move can activate his bishop. So therefore, now your trap is starting, and now you have this brilliant move, and that is capturing your opponent's bishop by your bishop. So you know that in this position, your opponent has only one option, and that is capturing your bishop. Again, you have this fantastic move, and that is capturing another pawn. So therefore, your opponent is also capturing. So as a chess player, and up to this position, you cannot see anything special. But also in here, the best move is coming for you, and that is capturing the pawn by your bishop and sacrificing your bishop and giving a check to your opponent. So in this position, your opponent is thinking that I can capture easily the bishop too, because the white doesn't have that much materials to attack and to come into checkmate. But you are giving this check. So your opponent is taking his king into g8. Now you have the base move, and that is taking your knight into e4. My dear friends, in this position, indirectly you are attacking to the queen. So your opponent cannot capture your knight because you are capturing the queen. So it is not a good move for your opponent. So my dear friends, in this position, you are attacking also to the queen. And also in the next move, you are taking your knight and threatening to checkmate your opponent. So in this position, your opponent has two good options. So one of the best option for your opponent is pushing the pawn and threatening your queen. And the second option for your opponent is saving his queen. I will show all these two options that your opponent can play against you. For example, in here, if your opponent take his queen into c4, and here again you are doing your plan, and you are going to threatening your opponent into checkmate. In this position, my dear friends, the best move for your opponent is taking his rook away. At least he can save himself. So maybe you are thinking with yourself that why your opponent cannot take his queen in here and defend from this checkmate. So in this position, it is not working, because if your opponent bring his queen into d3 right now, your opponent is defending from checkmate. But if you push the pawn into e4, now your opponent doesn't have this option. For example, if he captures by his queen, so you are capturing the queen. When you capture the queen, it means that the game is over for your opponent. So therefore, it is not a good move. And also, if he captures the pawn by his pawn, again, you have this brilliant checkmate by your queen. So in this way, you can checkmate your opponent. So coming back to the other options, as I said, that the best option. And here your opponent can move his rook into e8. Now you have this fantastic move, capturing and giving a check. And here your opponent has only one move, and he is bringing his king into h8. Now you are giving this check again. He is going here. And here you have different options. So you can check your opponent by your queen. And also if he comes here, so you are capturing the pawn. These options you have. But let me show you another options. You should not be hurry in this position. And this is taking your rook into d1 would be a good option. For example, if your opponent make a mistake by capturing, so you have these options to attack to your opponent. So my dear friends, coming back to this position, as I told you, in this position, your opponent also has another option, and that is pushing the pawn into g6. As you threatening your opponent's queen, and your opponent is threatening your queen. You should not be in hurry, and you should not be worried, and you just capture your opponent's queen. Now your opponent is capturing your queen. Now you have this fantastic move, capturing the bishop and attacking to the rook. So therefore your opponent should save his rook. Now you are giving this check and attacking to the pawn. So wherever your opponent's move, so you are simply capturing the pawn. So in this position, you are 2 pawns up. Definitely you can win the game easily. So my dear friends, coming back to the second part of the video, this is very short, but I wanted to tell you that if your opponents play the London system against you, how to trap your opponent. So in here, you just simply push the pawn into d5. Now your opponent is taking his bishop into a4. you should push the pawn into h5. My dear friends, this move is looking a little bit simple. Maybe as a chess player, you see that this move is not an active move, but it has a very big threatening. So maybe as a chess player, you are thinking this is a very passive move or there is nothing in this move. But in reality, there is a big trap hidden in this move. And here your opponent is pushing the pawn into e3. Why your opponent is pushing the pawn into e3? Because this is the main lines in London system opening. Wherever your opponent is taking his bishop, immediately after that, he is pushing the pawn into e3. This is one of the main lines in London system opening. So some other players, if they know this technique, therefore they would play another move. In this position, my dear friends, you have the best move, and that is pushing the pawn into e5 and attacking to your opponent's bishop. Your opponent has two options. The first one is capturing this pawn by his bishop, and the second one is capturing the pawn by his pawn. In both cases, your opponent is losing his bishop. How? Let me show you. If he captures the pawn by his pawn, so you are pushing the pawn into g5 and attacking to your opponent's bishop. So your opponent cannot capture your pawn because it is protected by your queen. So your opponent has to go back. Again, you are pushing the pawn, and in this way, you are trapping your opponent's bishop. So if in this position, your opponent captures this pawn by his bishop, again, you are pushing the pawn and threatening your opponent's bishop. So your opponent can't go anywhere, so he has to go into f4. Again, you are pushing the pawn and threatening it. So he has only one square. Now you are pushing the pawn. In this way, you are trapping your opponent's bishop. So your opponents cannot defend from his bishop. So thank you so much, my dear friends. I hope you enjoyed from watching this video. If you like the video and the contents that I am making, please like the video, subscribe the channel, and share it with your friends and family members. In this way, you are motivating me to make lots of good videos in the future.